What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about NIO, I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. Starting off with macro data points, there isn't really that much coming out this week that could impact Chinese stocks, nor is there any special meeting associated to stimulus or anything. Most likely that will be coming in probably the next couple of weeks. But nothing as far as planned for this week. One thing that will really move the market is companies unveiling their earnings. A lot of big names, including Tesla. So of course, whatever happens to Tesla, good, bad, and the ugly, typically does trickle down to other EVs. And because of Tesla's presence in China and the competition that's going on there, I think obviously a lot of Chinese EVs could be impacted as well. So just stay tuned for that. So that's coming out Wednesday after hours. Aside from all that though, it is going to be more just the unexpected, such as Trump talking about tariffs. That's always kind of impacted the market. This upcoming week, we will be hearing about Europe and Japan. So through algorithmic trading, that could really push NIO. But aside from that though, I think just NIO is really looking primed and ready to really break out on a technical standpoint. There really isn't anything planned aside from their weekly registration numbers associated to NIO. On Monday, you should see a nice push higher because of this. So a pretty kick-ass milestone. So NIO achieves 80 million battery swap milestone. So that was done, I believe it was Saturday evening. So pretty good accomplishment as far as that. Actually, it looks like a timestamp right there. So nonetheless, this is a pretty good thing. Goes to show that NIO is doing what they intended, right? Some people might not be satisfied with the speed of what they're trying to achieve, but nonetheless, I think that they've definitely quarter over quarter and year over year has really been consistently improving. Aside from that though, maybe because of this, you might see a couple new analyst ratings. So as far as analyst ratings, this is what we've received lately. So last couple was done 5 days ago, 12 days ago, Morgan Stanley and also Mizuho. As a consensus, $4.50 is that price target, representing 2.51% upside. As I mentioned in my last NIO video, with NIO really gaining a lot of good traction, a lot of analysts, to be fully fair, are like sheep. So they see a stock succeeding and they want to be part of it. So they will kind of give ratings, more positive ratings. That way they can be like, hey, look what I did. Look what I called. It's kind of stupid and comical, but nonetheless, it really does impact the market. So of course, you might be seeing that over the next couple trading days, or even potentially this whole week, as NIO does hopefully gain some good momentum. Aside from all of that though, with it closing at 439, looking at the options, that does mean that the $4 strike prices and below are in the money. So you have 29,000 at that 4, 9,000 at that 350, and then 7,000 at that 3. Looking at the dark pool, you didn't see any crazy transactions after hours on Friday. So it is fair to assume that market makers did not cover any of that. So what does that mean? That means that come Monday, you might see a very nice push higher because market makers will have to go to the open market to cover all of those options because they don't have a lot of volatile stocks such as NIO in their inventory. So that could really kickstart a nice push come Monday. So again, something to keep in mind. But going into this upcoming week, 11.92% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 183.87 million shares overall are being shorted. Shorts did increase 4.17 million shares on Friday, so breaking their trend because they've been largely returning. You can see that from this purple line right here, massively returning for whatever reason, but they did break that on Friday. And in my opinion, the reason why they did break that trend is to avoid NIO closing above that 450, and that is linked to the options because at the 450 there was 32,000 options so in open interest. So again, that could have been really damaging and potentially even further pushed a nice gamma squeeze. So something to keep in mind. Looking forward into this upcoming week, you do have 64,000 at that $5 strike price, 15,000 5,000 at that 450 and then 10,000 at that 4. So just kind of take note of that. So by Friday, let's say it's close to that 5, you might see shorts somewhat wake up. So again, something to keep in mind. Aside from all that though, with it closing on Friday at 439, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 448 is going to be the immediate resistance point, followed by 457. So it kind of bounced off of that general area on Friday. So we do know going forward that's a heavy resistance point. So just watch for that, because if it is able to get above that, then easily 471 and then 509, in my opinion, will be kind of knocked down fairly fast. Flip side, 433 and then 419 are going to be the support levels. We've seen in the past, once NIO has all the proper setup for a very nice breakout, shorts just say F you and just double, triple, quadruple down. So don't be surprised if shorts do randomly just start doing some crazy crap. So just keep that in mind. And if you are looking to average down, kind of day trade or whatever, just take note of this, some of the fib levels. So 433, 419, and then 410 being the support levels, and then 448, 457, and then, like I said, 471 being the next strong kind of target / resistance points. Aside from all that fun stuff though, on the actual chart, things are looking pretty a-okay. So on Friday, it did close exactly on this 200-day moving average, so 437. So that's going to be an element to kind of watch for in early on Monday. Aside from that, you have the 100-day moving average at 394. So most likely that will not be touched whatsoever. And then the 50-day moving average. Stochastic RSI does show it is overbought, but then again, 90% of the broader market is overbought. So the first sign of weakness, you could see some consolidation. And speaking of consolidation, going over here for a second. So looking at the S&P, it is at currently 62.96. In the past, whenever we've hit these kind of big resistance points, the market tends to freak out more on a psychological level. So it happened at the 5,000, happened also at the 6,000. So for whatever reason, even though fundamentally nothing has changed, once the S&P got to that 6,000, analysts started to freak out, say that we're at the peak and that we're due for a pullback. Same happened for 5,000, and then because of all that just psychological mindness going on, it causes a pullback. So don't be surprised at 63.50, that's the next kind of key resistance, if for whatever reason we start to pull back. So just keep that in mind. Most likely that will be hit either Monday, if not Tuesday. So don't be surprised if we see some extra volatility as a byproduct of that. So again, I just wanted to kind of bring that up, but nonetheless, I do feel for this upcoming week, it might actually be able to close above this R3. So trading between that 471 on the fib level to that 509 on the classic. So let me know your general thoughts. Do you think that is realistic? Do you think that's going to be higher than that? Or do you think that this week we are going to consolidate largely because of shorts? What's your kind of general thoughts on all of that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you are looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.